And we're live. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Debbie.
So we're waiting for a guest right now, and maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about her.
All right, so we are going to have a woman named Jessi on this evening. She is a sensitive and a very talented musician here in San Diego. She has had plenty of experiences with the paranormal and spirits throughout her life, and so she's coming on to go ahead and share some of those stories with us this evening.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Hi, Kim. Please share the show. I see some people are popping in here, and we'll get a good crowd to hear these ghost stories tonight. As soon as she comes in, we'll bring her in. And I can't wait. We all love a good ghost story, don't we, Janine?
Definitely,
So
definitely
much
do.
fun. We were just talking about the 10th Avenue Theater. You're hosting a tour, I guess, of that haunted building this month.
Yes, so on October 7th, 13th, 30th, and 31st, we're going to be having a paranormal lockdown for the Terror at the 10th. This theater is extremely old. It was San Diego's very first Catholic church in our what was called Newtown area, but is currently our Gaslamp area. And it's definitely a lot of fun. We are going to lock everybody down. You guys will get a tour of the building, hear about all the spirits that are inside, and then we do like a little mini seance and then investigation before we send you on your way. So look out for the advertisements coming out. We will be selling tickets on Eventbrite.
It really is a haunted, area and this building. So you do know that going in. Okay, I see Jessie's here. Let me bring her in. Here we go. Hi, Jessie. Oh, she's muted. You're muted. There she goes.
There, how is that?
There
Hi,
we
we can
go.
hear you.
Hi. Hi. Okay.
So we were just telling everybody a little bit about you, but if you want to introduce yourself and just share some information about you, and then we're going to go ahead and in a little bit get into the stories that you have.
Okay. Well, I am Jessi Sitar, and I am a musician by profession, but my whole life has been paranormal. I have had paranormal experience all my life. I'm clairaudial, I'm clairvoyant, I have visions, and I feel. Uh, I have photographs of several encounters that I've had, which I will share with you all tonight. And I was hard to pick out a couple of my stories, but I have picked out pictures of one of my stories. It's about an entity that was in my garage, and so when it's my turn to tell my stories, just let me know.
Sounds good. And I know you have plenty of experiences throughout your lifetime, so I definitely will have you back on again in the future so you can share more of them.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'm really excited because both Janine and I have crazy ghost stories and entities and hatmans and shadow people and you name it.
Yeah.
So we all love to get, nice and cozy and hear some uh, true ghost stories. And Janine, I'm going to throw it to you when you're ready for the to start the stories. That'd be great.
Yeah, so Jessi, go ahead and tell us your story.
Okay. Well, my kid's stepdad was, we used to go dirt biking, and he was putting together a Volkswagen bug, the beetle bug, that from a long time ago in the garage. And I walked downstairs. There's no windows. There's no way to have any outside light enter this garage because the staircase goes around a corner and up. You shut the door and it's complete blackness. You can't see your hand in front of your face. Well, I went down there, and on top of the toolbox, he had a photo. What do they call a Polaroid picture, But as soon as I entered into the downstairs, I felt a presence. And I looked at the picture, and I told him, who he did not believe in this kind of things, that, we have visitors. We have visitors here. And he goes, "What do you mean visitors?" I said, there's spirits here. Okay, there's energies here. And he goes, "Oh, I don't believe in that stuff." I said, "Well, if you take a look at this picture, which I'm going to show you right now, this picture is, can you see, am I getting it in there? Is it?
There you go, right there. Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Now that is with the light on. And if you can see the orbs, you see the orbs?
Yes.
Okay. And the haziness, that told me right away that what I was feeling was indeed a presence. So I said, "Look at this picture." I said, there's several of them. And I don't believe in that stuff. I said, "Okay, well, go. I'm going to turn the light off upstairs and shut the door. And you're going to go and stand on the second step up, which was where he was standing when he took this picture. And I want you to take a picture in the same direction, the same spot as you took this one." He says, "Oh, okay, yeah, right, okay." So I go upstairs, I shut the light off, and he was already in place. He snaps a picture. So, and then, now this is with the light out. Now this is what came up next. Okay. This is with the light off. The orbs are even brighter.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. He's going, "Oh, it's a film. It's defective film." I said, "No, it's not. It's very obvious." I said, "Okay, then just stay right there. Take another picture, okay? Because you will see that I'm not joking." So this is the picture that came up when he took the next picture.
Oh,
That's creepy.
that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it.
Now, and
Yeah.
you have to remember, he's standing 2 steps up from the ground, and this guy is looking him straight in the eye. So this is a very large being, um, kind of looking him straight in the eyes, saying, "Now do you believe her?" Kind of like,
Right.
Wow, that's awesome.
you
Love
know.
it.
How cool.
Now this is a picture of the room when there's no entities and in there. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures and the difference in the pictures with what I just showed you. This is the room when no one is present. Okay, see the light is
A
Oh,
clear difference.
clear as a bell. Yeah.
okay. Now after a while, I came to know him as Paul. Okay, he told me the name was Paul. Now I don't know who he had with him, but I believe that what my gifts tell me is that he picked up a part from a junkyard from a car for this bug he was building, and somebody was very attached to the vehicle that this part was part of. I believe the guy died in a crash. He was very attached to his vehicle, and he was attached to that part that he was using to put together this dune buggy type vehicle to ride out in the desert. So that is what I got out of that, because once the car was gone, there was nothing down there.
That's
Nothing.
so interesting because we think of attachments being to people, and sometimes we think of haunted items. But
Mhm.
to think that it was a beloved car, he owned it, he probably perished in it, and
Right,
so he got a chance to travel with it.
right.
So, oh my gosh! But those pictures are amazing. That last one, there. So
Yeah, he was going,
here's the
"Now do you
figure.
believe her?"
Yeah, you're right.
And so he says, "Well, I better watch what I say down here." he was very spooked
Oh,
by it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Janine, yourself, I'm sure, and I, it's normal. It's part of everyday life. It's part of my everyday life. You know, my house is a home that I live in is mine and is like a vortex because
Uh,
my kid's stepdad's dad built the house. So my kid's stepdad grew up in the house and he remembers seeing things in the front living room, which the children were not allowed in the front living room. Saw an electric man, he called him an electric man, climb out of the floor and then disappear into the fireplace. Now, the way he described it was like a negative to old film, you know, when films had negatives,
yeah.
where,
Yes.
okay, now this takes me into my next story that I'm going to tell you about. When his mom passed away, we moved into the house. And I had gigs all weekend. So we had a ranch up north we were selling. And he was already up there. So I was going to fly out. It's like 6 a.m. Monday morning. And I was sitting on the couch. It was against the wall. And there was a coffee table in front of me. And then there was an old school big TV in the corner to my left, caddy, kind of like angled caddy corner. And I was looking at the TV. It hadn't been used in years, wasn't plugged in. And I keep seeing movement in the reflection of the TV screen. So I kind of got scared. I thought, oh my God, somebody's in my house because I was the only one home. And so I'm going, checking all the rooms and doors and everything like that. And I was, relieved to not find anybody in my house. So I went back and I sat down on the couch, and there was still movement in the TV screen. So I tried to find a baseline, and I found myself. I found me in that reflection. Then I was able to make out the coffee table in front of me, and on the other side of the coffee table there was a short lady, and she had now. This is like a negative, okay? She these are white people. She had brown skin and her blonde hair was black, okay? And it kind of flipped up like that. And she was dancing, just continued dancing on the other side of the coffee table. And there was two or three people to my left with drinks in their hand, and same to my right with drinks in their hand. And this house, there was 9 sisters and brothers on the other side. Um, so uh, they used to have family gatherings on holidays and birthdays at this house. Now, every so often, a tall man, would walk out from the bedroom, stop and dance with her for a few minutes, and then continue on to the kitchen. And so I called my ex after this went on for 45 minutes. This is the most visual encounter I've ever had in my life. I called him and I asked him, uh, I told him what happened and what I saw. He says, oh my gosh, that's my Aunt Opal. She died when I was 10 years old because I described her to a T. Now, he said, that was my dad, who was also passed away at the time. That was my dad, and he used to dance with my Aunt Opal all the time because she loved to dance and her husband would never dance with her. And so that was, and then the people in the background were other family members that were gathered for a family gathering at this house. And I felt very well. I felt like they were welcoming into the family. I felt a sense of relief that they liked me and they were welcoming me into the family. I felt like they had gathered to welcome me into the family and into the home. And that leads me to just a teeny tidbit of another encounter with the TV screen, and that was the hallway from this room leads to my kitchen, and I saw coming down the hallway two. I thought they were midgets. They were dressed in Depression era clothing, like farm boys or something like that, and they had these tall hats on with this little tiny brim that goes around the hat, and they just kind of glided together like just two of them, just identical. And they came into the room, and then they got up on the couch, and they sat down behind me on the top part, the top part of the couch that you lean back on. They just sat down behind me, and they were just sitting there. Now, this happened during the daytime. The other one happened at night. This happened during the daytime. So I went into the bedroom and I asked my ex if he had any twins in the family. And he says, no, no twins in the family. And then about 10 minutes later, he comes out, he goes, yes, there were twins in the family. My dad had twin brothers that were 5 years old. They died of a rheumatic fever at 5 years old. So they weren't midgets, they were children.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I,
Oh.
yeah. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I could write a book. I have so many encounters, and the majority of them, there were people there to witness objects being thrown to me, leaping off of a table,
Yes.
and
Isn't Jessi? Isn't that the most remarkable thing? Because I've had the remote come off the TV set and float across the whole living room and go at a diagonal and then land at the floor at someone's feet. And I mean things that defy any logic. And
right.
boxes waving like this, and then when you don't notice them or you just kind of let it go, they just stop.
Well, there are no mathematical equations for the intangible.
Right.
Very true.
So,
Yep.
You can't. It's not of this world. I believe that the invisible world is at a higher vibrational rate than we
Yeah.
are. That's why you always see them gliding, because their feet are not on the ground.
Right. I have a girlfriend who lived by a mortuary, and she was at her grandmother's when one night they were out on the front porch, and she says, Debbie, all these people were gliding down the road from the mortuary going down the road, and they had smoke, she said, at their feet. So we know ectoplasm or something going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then and this is the thing, Jessi and Janine, we're beacons. They come to us, right? So they noticed, they want to communicate. So they noticed and they glided over to the porch. And my poor friend was scared to death. She didn't know what was going on, and she could only hear mumbling. So she wasn't to the point where she could get their words.
Right.
But interesting enough, she didn't want to have that happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so the grandmother wrote out some kind of a thing. I don't know what she wrote out, if it was a Bible verse or what. She put it in a certain page in the Bible and put that under her pillow. And it never happened again. She does see things now, but that never happened again where they're coming after her. But she sees a specific thing now. She sees demons. And so it's that discernment of demons that they talk about in Second Corinthians. Corinthians. I gotta say it right. So anyway, she can see those people. But when this started happening, it was so scary. She was a little girl, but she'll never forget. They were just gliding with smoke at their feet.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I found like when I was younger, before it got really strong, my abilities, it did kind of almost sound like they were mumbling because I wasn't quite vibrating high enough to hear them, because they do just about everything at a higher frequency, and it's a bit faster than what we are.
Right.
That's why with the EVPs, because they are definitely attracted to electronics, I think. That's I even have some weird stories with televisions as well. But I think that's why we have to slow down the recordings to sometimes capture or hear what the EVPs are saying, because of how fast they're moving compared to us.
Interesting.
I've got videos with demons too, because a friend of mine was a drinker, an alcoholic, and he drank a big bottle of tequila, pounded it down, and he was being mean and argumentative with me. And they call it spirits for a reason, because it opens up a doorway in your mind that will let entities that do not have a vessel to materialize and temporarily possess your body as a vehicle to use to create mayhem and confusion and argumentative things. That's why they call alcohol spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So, so where was I going with this? Okay, so what I did was I started to record him because I was going to play it back to him and show him how that alcohol was affecting him. Well, when I played it back, all I heard was demonic growling and noises,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see in the video, and there were about 5 or 6 of them,
Ah,
5 or 6 of them, and his voice was no longer there. All I could hear was these demonic sounds. Okay, now I play with my camera every single way I could to see if possibly maybe it was an effect on the camera or something like that. But there was nothing that would produce what I watched. And this video is about 20 minutes long.
wow.
This is exactly why when we're going over like ghost hunting 101 and people are doing investigations, that we recommend that you don't go and do this under the influence of any drugs or alcohol,
No,
because it does weaken you and allow
it
for
makes you
things that maybe you don't want.
vulnerable,
Yes,
vulnerable
to
to the
get
lower
in there and catch it
vibrational
over.
entities. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to go back a little bit about reflection because divination, we have the black mirrors. I have one, and it's really a good tool to look for a ghost or something happening in your house. And so it seems to be very, I don't know what the connection is that they can use it, but it seems to be a really good thing for TV sets because I think there's a lot of stories that people, the TV's not plugged in at all and it comes
Right.
on or they see something. So I think that's what happened is you looked in and you got to see this incredible scene happening. A lot of times that can be energy that comes back, that residual energy that's there because they had a party and it was significant, or
Right.
there's a lot of energy there. So that is incredible that you got to catch that and experience that.
Yeah, I
Did I
felt
ever
very, very comfortable in the house after that. And
Yeah, because his family was welcoming you, like throwing a party to have you
yes,
there, which is
that's
amazing.
exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. So
And with you being a musician, it's kind of cool that they came in singing and dancing to invite
yeah,
you.
right. Yeah. It was that was the most visual experience I've ever had in my life. And
Jessi, can I ask you a question? Do you use
Sure.
anything to deflect or keep things out of your home or protection around you when you
I
are
sage,
okay?
and my mind. Your mind is the most powerful
Powerful.
thing,
Correct.
like crystals and plants and all those kind of things. Those are just tools. The mind is the operator of the tools. Those are just tools.
Right.
So somebody that's very advanced doesn't really necessarily need those tools.
That's true.
I find that sometimes my spirit guides won't allow me to use certain tools as well because they're saying, like, come on, man, you don't really need that. You can do
Right.
this.
Right, exactly. Because I don't use tools. I don't use tools. It's my mind is open. And it's like I went to a remote viewer one time after my daughter suffered a very, very devastating trauma when she was 17. And the remote viewer told me, like, I'm like a magnet. It's like I'm driving the hearse and they're all coming to me. I'm like a magnet. They want to come to me. But I interact with them. I talk to them. I joke around with them. And that's what they crave. That's what they're there for. They're craving that interaction with other energies, as I believe. And
Well, we did find sometimes, Janine, when we went out onto things, Jessi, that they wanted to tell their story or they wanted someone to know that they're there. And
or
then
they have a message for somebody.
right.
Right. And sometimes they don't even know that they've passed on. So, to have that human interaction, it makes them feel more normal in that state.
Right.
And if we can make them feel comfortable with us, that's when we can actually help them to cross on, which is the intended thing that we
That's
should
what
be
I
doing.
tell
Result.
them. Just go to the
Right.
light. Go to the light. Don't be afraid. Just go to the light.
We've had
God's
some
there.
intense things where there's, one husband waiting for the wife to pass away. We've had car accidents. They didn't know they were dead.
Right.
And some stubborn ones that absolutely don't want to cross for whatever reason.
Well, that's because
So,
they're unfinished business and they're holding on to. They want to finish that unfinished business, I believe. So that's why they stay. You know.
Yeah,
But
and
I would
it's
love to hear some of your stories. Enough about my stories. Janine, tell me.
so
Tell me
it's
about.
interesting thing is I actually have a television story myself. So, I was in a situation where like I was a single mom for a while and our TV went out. And so my sister was like, I know you can't afford one. Let me go ahead and give you this TV, but I have to warn you, the TV does some weird things. So she
Okay.
brings this TV. I bring it into the house, and it's in my kids' room. And I am home alone. My kids are actually spending the night at their dad's house, and I hear a little girl cry out for mommy. And I'm like, okay, someone's in the backyard. So I go to my kids' room. I'm looking out the window. There's nobody there. And as I turn to walk away, the TV says mommy. And I realize, okay, it's coming out of the TV. There's got to be some interference. Something is connecting with this television. So I unplug it. And then a little bit later, I hear the TV going, and it's Ghost Adventures. And so I'm like, okay, I unplugged that TV. How is Ghost Adventures on? I walk towards the room. I hear a bang. And then on Ghost Adventures, the guy says, "Did you hear that?" Which totally tripped me out because he said it right after the bang. I walk in, I go to turn off the TV and unplug it, and I realize that the TV is unplugged, but it's still playing a TV show. So I did get rid of that television. It's time for that TV to go. But, they do tend to like those electronic devices because of the energy. It helps them to be able to manifest.
I believe it's the easiest way for them to manifest. I
Yes.
think.
yeah.
City.
So my book, the cover photo is a little girl that I captured in El Campo Santo Cemetery. I was out with my sister and my niece. It was super cold. We were in there by ourselves, and I feel a tug on my sleeve. And I think it's my niece. I'm taking some photos. I say, hold on a second. Continue to take some photos. I feel a super aggressive tug on my sleeve, and I turn to see what my niece wants. And I realize very, very quickly that my sister and my niece are at the front of the cemetery, and I'm the only one in the back area. So I run and get her, and I say, hey, something in the back corner just grabbed a hold of me. So we go back, and we're taking photos. And I captured the photo that's on the front of that book that Debbie just put up, and she followed me home. This is the only time I've actually had a spirit follow me home. How did she communicate that she was there? Well, I had one of those radio sets that had like the record player on the top, and then it had cassette tapes, and it ran AM and FM radio, and then it had a 5-disc changer on the bottom. Well, at this point, the only part that actually worked was that 5-disc changer. I had accidentally yanked out the antenna, so anytime you would push the button to turn on the AM or FM, all you would hear is white noise. But you literally physically had to push the buttons to change those settings. Well, all hours of the day and night, suddenly it would turn on to one of the radio stations and just start blasting white noise. Wow. And so I thought, okay, there's got to be a timer or something on this. And my ex-husband checks it out. He goes, no, there's no timer on this. So I think it's just malfunctioning. So one night we are leaving to go to a baseball game, and the white noise starts blaring. And I turn around and I say, who is that? And I hear, it's Jamie. Wow. That was the name on the grave that I was tugged at. Wow. Was Jamie Lyons.
Okay.
And so I did let her know that she couldn't stay in my home, that she was going to have to go back, but that we would come and visit her regularly. And here's the kicker. Her gravesite at the time stated that she was a little boy. But I was able to
Really?
prove that she was female by pulling up the census report for the year that she died. And
Oh.
she was listed on that census report as a female, not a male. So took this information to the Whaley house. They actually did change the sign. It no longer says son of and this and that and the other, but they did miss one little word at the very bottom. It says he was loved. But she seems to be satisfied with most of the changes because we don't see her as often anymore.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, you're a magnet too.
We're just like this light. They see us. They know. Like I'll try to ignore them sometimes, and it'll be like, no, you see us.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because I have a cemetery story myself, but I'd like to hear a story from you.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, I've told them all these years.
Oh goodness.
Debbie, tell the story about the seance that we did in your house and how you had warded everything before everybody came in and what was happening after the seance took place.
Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
well,
I've had so many seances. Which one was it?
So do you remember the time that we were at your house and it was a group of us and we were doing a reading for one of your friends?
Yes.
And we were sending her the recordings.
Right.
And when we were done, you had warded the house so well that
Oh,
all
yeah.
the spirits that knew we were there
Yeah.
started floating up past the windows.
And looking in because they can't get in. And so I'm, really well versed in keeping things out and deflection and protection. And so, yeah, I did it. It was so funny. Like we're all talking afterwards. It was an incredible seance. And all of a sudden you and Chris, I think, are like laughing. And there's windows. I'm actually in the office right now. Over there are the windows. And so they come in and they look. They come back and look.
And here's the thing is we were on the second floor.
Yeah, second floor.
So we're seeing these men's faces coming up past the window. And we're on the second floor and they're just peeking in. What's interesting too is like I feel like they sense when there's a bunch of us together, that energy makes it even like a bigger beacon. So literally you guys may not be in the room with me, but I don't know if you guys heard around the 12-minute mark when we were talking, the door down the hall for me slam shut.
I heard that.
Oh.
We'll have to, when we watch the video again, I'm pretty sure it was very loud. It kind of made me jump. My bedroom door slammed shut and I'm the only one home right now. So I think whoever is around is like, hey, there's 3 of you. Pay attention to me. I'm here.
Right. Well, they love to, I had Jessi at night and I'd wake up and I'd hear bam, bam, bam. And I'd look and it was 3 a.m. And I didn't think anything, what is going on? I'd go, look, there's nothing, but really loud. And I thought it would be midnight, and then everybody says, no, 3 a.m. And so they woke me up over and over again. And finally I yelled out, I was mad. And I said, never again. You will not wake me up. I need to sleep. No, bam, bam, bam. So time went on that it stopped. And I thought, good, because I'll wake up and I'll see like a lady there looking at me or the hag. I have that one and all this other stuff. But one time I had to get up early. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. So I set an alarm and I said out loud, okay, I'm going to get up at, 7:30. And in my head, I said, make it 7:40, right? So I put it down and I went to sleep. And I remember waking up and I hear 4 proper knocks. And I flew out of my bed and I went to I'm like, I don't have any kids here. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
4 proper knocks. And I went, and I ran and looked at the clock and it was 7:30. And I said, so you guys can't get in my head. You cannot read my mind. I learned something because I said out loud, I need to get up at 7:30. So they go, what do we do? I can't knock 3 times. She'll get mad. 1, 2, 3, 4 woke me up. And then I go, oh my goodness, I need to speak to them if I
Mhm.
want to communicate, because they cannot, there's no telepathy with them. And
Right.
yeah. And so I said, I had 10 more minutes. So that was really an interesting thing. But, they love to knock things over. And at my house, it's always movement or we're flying. And
Mhm.
I just get so excited. I get so tickled, and I know that most people would just run out of their house and put a for sale sign up.
Right, right. That's very true. The people there's, there are people like us that were it's normal. It's not weird. It's just part of life. We have the ability to experience both the intangible world and the material world. And I truly believe that when a child is born, the energy is not permanently fixed into that child's body, because I remember my mother holding my baby body in her arms, feeding me baby aspirin from my little silver baby spoon. But I was not looking up at my mother out of my body. I was looking down from about, I was maybe like 2 feet away from her, and about maybe uh, my head was like maybe a foot higher than my mother's. She was sitting down. And this occurred to me maybe a few years ago that I was not in my body at that time. Now, the Mormons believe that they call the passing of the veil. At 2 years old, the child has made the complete transition into the physical body permanently by the age of 2. And that memory of mine confirmed that I think that there's something to that that is a transition. That's why I'm Jewish. We don't cremate, and
Right.
I believe that it's because it's painful. It's painful because as it takes time to transition into the body permanently, it takes time to transition out of the body as well. So
Mm.
when they are burning these people, they have not completed their transition out of the physical body. So they're going to feel pain.
Oh, gosh. When you were talking about the veil, one thing I was going to say before is my girlfriend that sees the demons now and saw the people gliding and stuff. She
Hmm.
was born with the veil. So with the veil
Okay.
over
Yeah.
her.
Yes.
And she always knew that she was psychic and all of that because, back then they said if you're born with that, what was it,
Right.
the sac, you are.
Yes. I forgot the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I know the veil you're talking about.
Yeah. So, she always knew that, but she had the bad side of everything because there was an attachment to her husband. And so it would open the cupboards in the kitchen and throw out the glasses and break them against the sliding glass door. And they had spontaneous fires in the oven or on the stove, just for nothing's on. And they
Uh-huh.
had floods and they had rats in the walls. And this
Oh,
happened, they moved from one house to another to get away from it. But of
right.
course, it came with. And just terrible haunting that and Janine and I are the same, and the team as well, as we're not afraid. We go at things, but I would not step foot in her house because this thing was really
Dark
powerful.
and
Yeah, and
powerful.
very
Yeah.
dark. And so we would sit with patio chairs out at her front door because I would not go in. And I said, we don't need that because
No.
both of them became sick. The whole family, it was always ill.
And it was probably gastrointestinal type things, right?
It's just sick all the time.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and she finally, when she divorced and everything, she
Hmm.
felt like something may have come over, but we got it out. So she's free from all of that. But it was a really scary time, and especially for uh, electricity in the wall in these newer homes,
Right.
having problems and stuff. Really scary that they didn't get hurt, or get
Yes,
killed.
because yes, that's very true. That is very true. Because there's some very powerful demons are very highly intelligent and very powerful. And you tell them to leave, they'll come back with seven others. They'll
Yeah,
come.
my friend wrote a book, and she's been on a lot of the television shows, and she has a warfare prayer. And I always tell everyone, if you have anything that's really strong and you need help, you need to get help. But I can give anybody the warfare prayer. Very strong prayer that she uses when she's facing the demons is what she's usually doing.
Mhm.
Janine, you're laughing. What's going on?
Can you guys hear the knocking? I'm laughing because the knocking keeps coming like at intervals, and it's 4 knocks, just like you.
Well, see, I keep thinking it's in my house because my daughter's in the other end of the house, and I keep thinking that I'm hearing her making noise.
It's coming from my roommate's bedroom on the wall right behind the television. And it's as soon as I kind of tell it in my head to go away, it knocks again. So what's
Well, it's
interesting though
just
is I
they
do
want to
have a
participate
spirit
too.
coming in to talk
Yeah.
right now. And Debbie, were you with us when we did that house out in Lakeside, the very big house
Yes.
for the Chaldean woman?
Mhm.
Did I ever follow up with you about what ended up happening?
I don't know if you did or not.
So we did this investigation, this beautiful house, Chaldean woman. Her sister was on, her son was on the soccer team with my son. And so she said, my sister's got this very dark energy around her. I need you guys to please come in, investigate, figure out what's there, and get rid of it.
Uh-huh.
And what it was an attachment of this very evil man that she used to date. And he wasn't going to let her go even in death. So he was following her and attaching to her, making her ill, causing havoc in the house. We cleared him. But the problem was she had such an attachment to him as well that she kept letting the spirit back in. And then she would get so sick that she would have us come back out and clear it again. Well, 2 years passes and we hadn't heard anything back. And I run into her sister and I said, hey, I've been having really weird dreams about your sister. And I feel like something bad is going to happen to her. She goes, my sister died 2 days ago.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Now, honestly, I cannot say for sure, but I do believe that attachment is what wore her down and ended up leading to her untimely demise, because she was
I have to agree with you.
only in her early 60s.
Wow. I actually remember going to that one where they had the child that in the portal in the child's room. You remember that one?
Oh my
That
gosh!
we
Yeah,
went
the one
out?
where we found out there was a suicide in that house.
Yeah. And something coming out. Remember, Sean got wild root. That's where I learned about wild root seed
Yes.
and the Persian, and he lit it. And we closed the portal there. But the baby would be in the crib staring at that same corner in the room constantly. And so something was happening. And so they were concerned that it was right around the baby. So I remember that one. Just crazy.
And that
stuff.
one was sad because the parents were divorced and the dad was into some stuff and he had some stuff in the house that I think was leading to this person who had committed suicide in the house to come through and mess with them. Like he was delving into things that he probably shouldn't have been.
Some doors you don't want to open.
Right.
Correct.
And a lot of people are playing the game, like, the Ouija board and stuff. We're just having fun. Hello.
I do not. No, my daughter. I don't allow Ouija boards. That's a rule. They're not in my house. So my daughter, when she was a teenager, and a couple of her friends decided to make their own Ouija board. And so I said, "Well, who
Works
are
the
you
same.
trying? Who are you trying to contact?" Anybody. I said, "That's very dangerous. You can't do that. You can't do that." Okay. Well, they contacted somebody, and I have a big giant window in my living room that's practically the whole wall is the window. And it was nighttime, the sky was black. And this is hours later after they were playing with the Ouija board. There was the imprint of a face up near the top of the window. And it was
gee.
now the imprint. Now, if you put your face against a surface, you're going to get your nose, right? Your forehead. Well, it had every detail of the face and
Ew.
every, uh, and it had wisps of black hair, very chiseled face, high cheekbones, and uh, my my daughter's friends saw it too, and I'm just going, you guys see that, right? Yeah, we see it. So I think it was my daughter. She went to wipe it off, and it was like black soot or ash.
Oh.
Oh, yikes.
And so I told her it had to leave. Just leave my house. You have to demand that you can't
Oh,
be
yeah.
afraid of them. You
Be
cannot,
very firm.
because they feed on the fear is what they do. The lower entities, they feed on that fear. And so I mean, I'm it doesn't scare. You know, my belief is that if you feel it in your heart, it's not bad, it's good. If you feel
Oh,
it in
yeah.
your stomach, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, listen to
Yeah.
your internal indicator because it definitely tells you what's safe and what's not.
Right.
I actually had a Ouija board growing up. All of us kind of did. And we stopped messing with the Ouija boards when we had a situation where the mom left early. So she didn't close out the session with us. And she went home. And later that evening, we were all at the house in the living room and we could hear her screaming from the bedroom. And so it sounded like, and she said she was floating off of the bed.
Wow.
What we heard when we got to the bedroom door was her hit the bed.
Hmm.
And she said that night she saw the devil's face.
Oh.
We
Oh.
brought some of the other moms in. Thank goodness a lot of us were very spiritual at that time. And we had her come with us and reclose this communication session. I did not touch a Ouija board again
Good.
until about 2012 or 13. And of
Right.
all the places for me to decide to go ahead and do a Ouija board session, there was a bunch of mediums, about 15 of us in a room. We were staying in the room that Elisa Lamb turned up missing from in the Cecil Hotel. So we were trying to
Oh.
connect with her. But
Okay.
guess who we connected with instead?
I
Oh,
don't.
the
Richard
murderer.
Ramirez. Richard
What?
Ramirez, the Night Stalker, because he was living in that hotel down
Yeah.
in the hostels when he was committing the murders. So he came up to the 15th floor and was communicating with us. Now, it was a bunch of mediums, so you can imagine the energy that was there. And this planchette, our fingers were hovering above it. We weren't even able to touch it. And it was moving so fast that at one point it flew off the board and hit the wall.
Wow.
I could barely keep up with it when we were trying to hover above it. Terrifying. And I have not touched a Ouija board since.
Oh, wow.
But I definitely made sure that we closed everything. I did a lot of protection. We did a lot of saging and everything else because definitely did not want Richard Ramirez coming home with me.
No. Trying to cut down on contacts with entities like that. Yeah. I've been very fortunate. I have not had, the only thing that scared me at I was shown my powers when I was 33 years old. And I was at a studio with a musician. We were recording some of my originals, and we got into an argument, and he left the house. I was at his house, and he took my keys to my Jeep with him. I was livid. I was so livid. I was so mad and irate that when I get into that rage, I sit down to the piano and I play Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The third movement of the Moonlight Sonata is very raging, fast and furious, and just 30-second note, just fast, 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 fast. And by the time I'm done playing that third movement, all of the rage is out of me, and I've been able to channel it into something that is positive, taking a negative and turning it into a positive. Now, his ex-wife used to, when they get in fights and arguments, she used to throw glasses and break all the glasses. And I didn't know this at the time, but when I was sitting there, or no, I didn't know this at the time. He told me when I was sitting there playing that movement, all I kept thinking about was breaking his glass, not glasses, but just breaking his glass. Now I had on a citrine uh, necklace with 5 quartz crystal spears on it. I'm a Leo. 5 is my number. I'm the 5th sign in the zodiac, and yellow is one of our colors. Now I kept just thinking about breaking glass, not any specific ones or anything like that. And then about 10 minutes later, he came back to the house and walked into the house, and he was white as a ghost. And I looked at him and I said, what happened? What's wrong with you? What happened to you? And he couldn't even talk. He just kind of motioned for me to come outside. And so I went outside, and his truck, he was sitting in Escondido at a stop sign. There were no buildings around. There was no people around. There were no other vehicles around. There was just fields, like, grass, fields of weeds and things like that. And his driver's side window exploded and imploded both ways.
Wow.
Now, my voice inside of me told me I did that. And
Yeah.
I would never, ever try to harm or hurt anybody with my gifts. I'm a healer. I heal people. I heal people with my music and with my gifts, my gifts. And my father was a Persian Croatian gypsy. And the story of the gypsies is that God came down to the planet and came to the gypsies and said, I'm giving away land. What land would you like? And they said, we don't need any land. We're fine. They didn't know that he was going to go to the other races of the world and give them land as well. And so God's going away, giving land to different races. And the gypsies changed their mind. They went to God and they said, we changed our mind. We would like some land too. And God said, I went to you guys first and you didn't want any land, and I have no more land to give. But what I will do is I will give you special powers and gifts for you to be able to make your way into the world, in the physical world. So that is the story of the gypsies, and it's usually a lineage thing in your family. My mother had the gift. My older daughter has the gift. She had her first experience when she was like 5 years old. And I asked her questions to see if maybe she was dreaming, because it happened in the middle of the night. And I asked her, okay, she saw her godfather's mother, who had passed away recently. And she said, I saw Nona. She was walking with her little walker going, anybody there? In her little Italian accent. And I said, was she walking? How did she look? She looked really good. She looked like she was like 39 years old. Okay, so that was the first test she passed, because you usually come back looking like you look in your prime appearance physically. I said, well, was she walking? Was she just standing still? She said, no, she wasn't walking. She was just kind of floating. So that told me that, my daughter was not dreaming, that she had the gift as well. And that she had the man standing behind her, which was her husband. He was a little bit taller. She described him accurately. And it was, so that's when I knew my daughter had the gift too. But it's a lineage thing. And I have both tarot decks of tarot cards from my father's grandmother, which they're probably like 7 or 8 generations old, that deck. Okay. And then on my mother's side, her mother's deck, I also have her mother's deck, and probably 7 or 8 generations old. They're the little cards, and they had in 6 different languages on the bottom the word for the card. How our tarot decks have the larger arcana they have names. Each card has a name. So my father's my grandmother on my father's side deck has never been touched by anybody but the bloodline of our ancestors, and I just have them here with me.
That's amazing. I know. I was psychic all my life, and so I had a near-death experience, and of course, more and more of all the stuff came in. But I went back looking at people and going, anybody in this family? No, no, no. And I found out there were some paranormal things that happened with my sisters when they were young and stuff. My baby brother died, and a beautiful woman came into the doorway of their room, and she was holding a baby, and she told them, I have your baby brother, and I'm going to take him to heaven, and I'm going to take care of him. And then that night, a baby cried, and my mother saw from the foot of the bed going up a lit cross, and he had died that morning. Wow. And so, but my sisters never told each other that they saw this beautiful woman with the baby. And then 20, 30 years after that, one sister tells me, and I said, you got to go talk to the other sister. And they both had the same story that they had told me, but they never told each other. And so, but I wondered, where did this come from? And then DNA ancestry came through, and my Sonora, Mexico family, my great grandmother and my great great grandparents, and were Yaqui, and all these people got a hold of me through ancestry.com, and I said, we met. And I said, can you tell me, is there anybody that has some kind of spiritual gift? And she said, I'm the medicine woman. And yes, of course, we're very spiritual. And I said, oh, good, because there was like nothing for me to go by, and being kind of alone in that. But I remember I'm going to tell my first Ouija board, and I only maybe have that episode with it. We were playing at home with my girlfriend, who's very, very gifted. And we were just my sister and her and I, when she went into a trance, totally, and her eyes lit up bright red. Like a light coming out.
Wow.
And we couldn't get her out. Eventually she came out of it, and that was the end, for me. Ouija board.
Yeah. No more Ouija boards after that.
No. I've never played with one, never wanted to. Like I said, they were not allowed in my house. It's the doorway to hell, So I don't have no interest in them.
I think my thing is that they're dangerous. Yes. And so they're a doorway to probably many places. I still have my sister and her daughter that use it and communicate with my mother. But I'm just going, no, the thing is that anything can happen. We know about portals. Janine has a famous portal story. The Pioneer Park one.
Yeah. So honestly, any of those tools, pendulums and automatic writers and the Ouija board, all of them, if you don't go in with set boundaries and dictate what is allowed and what's not allowed, any of them can be dangerous. So I think many people think, it's a game that's targeted for people 6 and up.
They don't realize what they're dealing with. They don't have a clue of what they're dealing with, and it's
tarot cards,
and very dangerous. That's right.
I keep set your intentions.
I keep my cross from 6th grade. I was in a Quaker church, and they gave me this. My name is on it, and I naturally just put it on top and say, "Stay safe." And, but, everything's kind of worded, but they are tools, and we make sure that we respect them, and we clear them and we know what we're doing. But yeah, I think that the hard thing is when young people, they come to our haunted houses. Why do they come to our events and all of that? They want to get scared. But
Right.
they
Why do
don't.
they
But
want
when
to
they
be
get scared, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to be scared.
No.
But see, like I said, another time when my daughter had friends over, and the tube of crazy glue, I was kneeling on the floor, and there was a table, and this tube of crazy glue came flying at me and landed about a foot away from me on the ground. And I looked over to the other end, side of that room, my daughter and her friend. I said, Did you guys see that?" And they said, "Yeah." Well, there's one boy that was very white. He looked like he was so frightened. And it took me about 20 minutes or half an hour or something like that. Because I kept asking them, did any of you see anything? And I finally got it out of him. He saw a man throw
Hmm.
that tube, okay, at me. I said, "Well, what did he look like?" Now, this is the first time that boy has been in my house.
No.
He turned right around, and on the wall hanging was a picture of my kid's stepdad and his father. And he went straight to his dad and pointed at his dad. And he told me that his dad had a message for me, and that was to keep a closer eye on his son, because they were trust babies. His son got into the wrong group of people, hanging out with people that were doing methamphetamine, okay? That is devil dust to me.
Yeah.
Um, so and so his parents were here, never left the house for years, not until he left the house back in, I think, 2015. He finally left the house, and they're not here anymore. But I had a couple here too. I was always hearing them talking, conversing between each other, and I couldn't quite make out what they were saying. Like you were saying, Janine, they are, you know, they are much higher vibrational level than we are, and it's hard to understand and make out what they're saying, but you can definitely hear them.
Oh,
So
yeah. What I've gotten lately is some light talking and music, which has not happened before. And I go, oh, here the music's playing. I'm like, well, yeah,
yeah, you know what?
somebody's playing some music.
I kept crystals, quartz crystals. When you're working with stones, quartz crystals is like a magnifier. It will magnify
Mhm.
the property. If combined with other
Yep.
stones, will magnify the stone's properties and
Hmm.
make them more powerful. Now, I had crystals in my studio, and do you know that when there was nothing going on, I would be in the studio, and other people would hear this too. I would hear my originals being played, and there was
Oh.
no music being played. My
Hmm.
Because they're like computer chips that you can program crystals, quartz crystals.
Hmm.
They were programmed with my originals because we would rehearse my originals in the studio, and other people would hear my songs too. And so, I've got a lot of stories that have validation because other people have been present. You know,
Right. And that's always good. It's always good. So we have somebody that can say, yeah, that's right. That floated across the room, or that, this or that happened. And
right?
I can't wait to hear more and more. Yeah,
Well,
it's always
I
fun.
would like to hear more and more too from you two. I mean, not. I would like to hear more of Janine. You are very adept at you know recognizing and using your gifts. Um, Tell me about another amazing encounter you had.
Well, we're actually at our 1 hour mark, so we're gonna
Oh,
definitely cut for the rest of this evening. But Jessi, we definitely would love to have you back on to share some
okay.
more of your stories, and then we'll
I
definitely share some more stories with you as well on
I
our
would love
next.
that. I would love to hear. Yeah, I would love to hear. Definitely. Well, I really enjoyed the hour flew by. When you're enjoying something, the time just flies. So it's nice. I don't talk about these kind of things to too many people because they think you're cray cray, you know. But it's nice to be able to talk to people that understand what's
Oh, yeah.
going on, you know. So that's really, and that's how Janine and I met. I saw some of her posts on Facebook, and I thought, oh, she's got the gift. She's like me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Very much.
that's how we met. It was on Facebook because I saw that she was like me.
Well, it's really great and exciting to talk to other people that
Right.
understand and also believe what is going on around you and all of that, because there's so much there's experiences, there's ethics, there's all kinds of things in our
Right.
life that we are faced with. And I have a history that I do missing people. I find them in homicides. That was a real loner place. Try to find the other people that do that,
You're
And
right.
but it's comforting and it's fun because we want to know, oh yeah, that happened to me too, and those type of things. But yes, Janine is like, I always told her that she is so good at being that psychic and that medium and being out there in a business, that she needed to go there. And I'm so glad that you are. And Janine, and she's written these books and a journal, and we got to advertise all that stuff.
I would
But
really love to get a hold of those books and read them myself.
there you go.
Yep, they're on Amazon. So if you guys are interested in my book, it's My Paranormal Life Growing Up Psychic on Amazon. I also have a dream, a prayer, and a gratitude journal available for purchase.
Okay.
And Halloween this year drops book number 2, My Paranormal Life, Ghosts Don't Say Boo. So keep your eyes out for that.
That's
I like
cute.
that. Don't say
I
boo.
love it.
Okay.
Well,
So if I go to Amazon and I type in your name, will your books come up?
They will.
Okay.
Well, Jessi, we're going to go ahead and let you go, but I will definitely be in touch with you this week, and we'll set up another date for you to come on and share some more of your stories.
I've enjoyed
So
both
great.
your stories, and yeah.
Jessi, I'm going to sign off, so we're going to say goodbye, but please stay on for a minute because we'll be here. Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good
Stay
night.
spooky.
Good night.